you can get a sense that quite a number of Kenyans are talking about peace. They're talking about these clashes coming to an end, unity as well, talking about sincerity, from the citizenry and the leadership as well. On the question of security, and let's begin with the North Rift that has faced quite a number of challenges. When the leaders come out and say what we need and what we see as a solution is a formation of a ministry that will purely focus on the issues around the North Rift. Do you agree with that thinking? I don't. The people in the North Rift know what their issues are, and they can be part of the solution. The mistake that we make sometimes is this, to ignore leaders or accuse leaders of inciting. Leaders reflect their people. I don't think that people can just listen to a leader taking them down a drain. And they just go. It's blindly, It's either the people want, it resonates with them. So, like what we saw in Narok, leaders are protesting, and you arrest leaders. No. What you do is that you animate and you boil up their supporters. We know that in North Rift, there is a disconnect between government, the leadership, and the people. And what the people have decided is to take it within their own hands to solve their problems. Now, what that is doing is disaster. Look at it the other day. The whole Deputy Inspector General arrives in a chopper and lands in a hostile territory where her chopper is fired at. That cannot be blamed. We don't need a ministry to tell you that you cannot take a high-powered officer into a hostile ground. Right. So we basically want to say, look, we must understand what our dynamics are, and we must understand what our people's issues are, and let us deal with the issues where they feel it and where they need it. Let's not try and offer threats and ultimatums. Let's understand. Yeah, because the government, the security agencies have been criticized. We've seen a lot of that tough talk. The Kimayo used to do it at the time, return the arms. The president, we've seen him in front of the leaders there say, I'm giving you this number of hours. Only 6 or 18 were returned thereabout. The new IG as well has given ultimatums and no action. So even in a question of there appears to be no clear strategy. Isn't that worrying in terms of facing this issue? That's the worry. And even where there's a strategy, that strategy does not resonate with the reality on the ground. So you want to take elite soldiers from here or elite squad to go. That squad will only work for so long and come back here. But what do you need to secure those areas? You need a long-term solution to it. And that long-term solution can only be done in consultation with the people locally. Let me make this point at this stage because it's so critical, and I would have thought that maybe the Okoa guys would have been on it, but I don't think they are seriously on it. Security is local. Insecurity is local. The more we keep on saying that national security is a national duty because the Constitution says so, and we don't want to share this responsibility with the governors and the county governments, we make a mistake. Remember, these people are elected by their people. They are local. These people are within that area. They understand. People know them as their leaders. We must look at security, and the earlier we bring counties and county governments into the security discussion, the better. Because that's where the rubber hits the tarmac. These people know what is going on. Remember, we were promised, and Duale has since run away from it. He said, we know these people. We will produce a list. We'll expose them. For sure they do. And if they chose to expose it, they will do. So let's make security, responsibility for security local, and we will get it right. Because the more we make it national here, and then we don't get it right at the local, then the local are not doing much to ensure that things just remain the way they are. And that's unfortunate. Isn't the other dynamic the fact that these are far-flung areas and also in themselves are vast territories? Looking at Turkana, which Nairobi could fit in there over 160. I remember Edith was just trying to explain how vast this region is. Are there some of the challenges that are playing into the manner in which they face and tackle this problem? True. The area is large, is vast, and even coverage can be a challenge. True. But so must you find solutions that cohere and endear themselves to situations like those. Just like when you're looking for solutions in Nairobi, solutions that work in Turkana can't work here. So you need solutions for Nairobi that are different from solutions for Turkana.
And again, we got this right those days. We used to have police reserve guys and so on. And these guys, together with the clan leaders, especially in Northeastern, were able to fix issues. So there is a way in which you can actually fix problems up there without putting pressure on yourself, without putting too much crown and therefore too much force. Tell these guys you need solutions, they must give you those solutions. They'll give you solutions.
All right, we have Daniel who's calling us from Umoja. Daniel, good morning.
Morning to you. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you for calling. We're praying this morning as a country, the National Prayer Breakfast. What's your prayer for Kenya?
Before I say my prayer for Kenya, I would like to try and give an advice.
Yes.
To the government on the North Rift, about the North Rift and the issue of cattle rustling. One thing. Hello?
Yes, we hear you. Go ahead, Daniel.
Yes. One thing the government must accept is that the people from people, they used to steal cattle because of issues like dowry and stuff like that. But this time, trick has changed. There is another external hand that is disoriented. Because how can cattle disappear after being stolen? I mean, does it just disappear like a ghost? The cattle don't just disappear like wind, which means there's someone who waits for the cattle after being stolen and takes to the market, transport to the market. So what my advice to the government is this. One thing they need to accept is the meat comes here and we eat a lot of nyama choma and we are very happy. Other people export this type of meat. So the first thing they need to do, the government, if it is possible, they should first investigate all private meat exporting companies, where they get their meat, how they bring it from where they buy it from, and who sells to them. That's number one.
Right.
Number two, places like Jamaica, let's speak about it. Kenyans love nyama choma. Jamaica meat never ends. Goats are always there. Where do they get their meat? We need to accept these things. These people, Al-Shabaab, we are going to Somalia to fight Al-Shabaab, and then that means we've messed up their businesses there. So they're coming inside where we are, and they're doing business within us, and that is why when they hit us, they said, we are hitting you using your own money.
All right, Daniel, you've made your point. Thank you so much for calling. We appreciate that you're watching the show this morning, and your input will definitely see what Martin also has to say in regards to just tracking that problem all the way to these butcheries and where we're seeing plenty of this meat and where they're getting their supplies. We also have Joseph on the line. Joseph, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Thank you for calling. Talk to us.
Okay, I appreciate.
Yes?
Excuse me, I can't hear you properly.
Well, we just want to hear you for now.
Okay, mine was just to say that I think the implementation of... I can't hear you properly.
Joseph, just go ahead and speak because we weren't listening to you. You don't need to hear me much. We just want to hear you, sir.
Okay. I think the reason why I want to call is because right now I live in Mombasa, in a place called... Hello? Hello?
Okay. I think Joseph is not quite getting us clearly, although we just needed him to speak and would get him. But Daniel there, Martin, talking about needing to track this problem, that it is easier to look at it as just, cattle, livestock is being stolen, but that if it's traced, we could find the solution and the problem, actually.
I said earlier that what is the profit motive? What is the private sector role in driving what we are getting? And Daniel is right, is spot on. If I am interested in selling meat, making higher profits, and I don't care which market my animals come from, all I want is they're given to me cheaply, and then I'm able to move, then I'm going to be part of the problem. Yes. So really what we are saying is that there is a motive behind all this insecurity that we are seeing. What is that motive? Just like we are saying there is funding behind terrorism. Where is the source of that funding, and what's the motive of that funding? So we need to get those things right. And so at the end of the day, as a people, we will need to do more intelligence. we will need to do more listening, and we'll need to move with the heartbeats of our people in order for us to go there. One of the things that I can tell about how part of our problem is the disconnect between the normal Kenyans and their leadership and their businesses. So that if I was to be sure that what I'm doing in my local village, the government knows, the government is concerned, the government is listening to me, it cares, I will certainly be able to do that in a different way. But if the government is disconnected, it just appears occasionally to people, lectures them, goes back. The chiefs are down there are no longer as active as they used to be. There's confusion between the role of the chiefs and the role of the administrators from the counties. So the messages that people are getting is that, look, we don't know. There is no direction.
Yeah.
And those are things that we cannot afford to say. So as we pray this morning, I think one of the prayers that the leadership should be occupied with is, how do we get to a place where we speak to each other, we speak with each other, not speak to each other, speak with each other, don't speak at each other. If governors are talking, do not condemn them. You know, I find it very difficult. When a governor elected by the people is speaking, and the most we can do is dismiss him, call him names, and, you know, say how hungry they are, how corrupt they are. You know, these are people's leaders. Or the president is speaking, and you're just saying, no, he's not representing me, and so on. No, we must reach a point where we say, wait, we respect institutions we put in place. We respect the people we elect.
Yes.
And once we respect the people we elect, we will always listen to them. And if people know you respect their leaders, they will also respect you. So if you go to a county and they know you respect their leader, I mean, look at the president yesterday praising Mutua, for sure. Now, if he goes to the county and he says, look, but you people in Machakos, I've told you are doing a good job. But on this one, you don't seem to be making it. How do we work together, both national and county government, to make it? They will listen. So those are the kind of things we should be praying for.
All right, and Karibu Chaya, as we continue to invite our viewers this morning to send in your thoughts. The National Prayer Breakfast being held this morning at Safari Park. As soon as it kicks off, we'll be crossing there live. And the theme is self-examination. And I'm sampling your views. Also keep calling in. Our numbers are on your screen. We want to hear from you, and as far as what it is that bothers you, but most importantly, what it is you see as a possible solution going forward that would get Kenya to a better place. And Martin, let's talk about this self-examination being the theme. As a government, what kind of self-examination, and we'll talk about the opposition, do they need to do? As a president, he's 2 years now past, slightly over 2 years past his term in office. What kind of examination, what kind of reflecting does he need to be doing now?
Big time, big time. For the president, I think, and I'm sure he's been spending a lot of time doing self-examination. We've seen him take the chopper head to Sagana a few times and literally stays there, and then comes, does meetings here like May Day, finishes and goes back to Sagana.
Yes.
That is a time for self-reflection, and I think that's a very important thing for anybody in leadership, and particularly at the presidency. And for the Jubilee presidency, the time for self-examination is here. They are into midterm, and they have issues that they need to deal with. And one of the issues they need to deal with first is just getting the statecraft, the art of governance right. Are the structures in government working between cabinet secretaries, principal secretaries, civil servants? We need to do less of talking, more of action. The other day we were reading about PSS risk being sacked. Does that send a right message, or does that just make everybody recoil and everybody retreat and nobody's not going to take decisions? So there are certain messages that you pass and it paralyzes. There's need for us to self-examine, because these people are human. They need to be encouraged. They need to be given positive messages, and they'll work. So on part of governance, important. On security, 100% self-reflection. It has not worked. What do we need to do for it to work? On corruption, again, I say about 80% self-examination. The process, I know the government, the president has said no tolerance to corruption. But in the process, mistakes are obviously being made. We've seen this list. This list was not ready for public consumption. We've seen investigations. We gave 60 days. It was too short to investigate 174. They have said they still need to do 124 others.
Which is my question. Why do they need to ask for an extra month? The investigations are not bound by those 2 months the president gave. The president was giving those. Was a need for the people to step aside so then they can go back to office if they've not been if they've been cleared?
You see, everybody on that list, the president said, step aside, be investigated.
Yeah.
60 days after investigation, you can either come back or go home or go to court. So they are bound by 60 days. Of course, there's a problem there. Should the 60 days have been directed, or should the president have issued the 60 days? Obviously, he needed action so that he could clean up. But the 60 days comes out both as not a correct directive to an agency that's supposed to be independent, fine. But even the 60 days are too short for any serious investigation. So those are the challenges. So self-examination on corruption, self-examination on security, self-examination on governance generally. Yes. Are we getting it together?
All right. All right.
I must say that opposition also should self-examine.
We will definitely talk about opposition and how they need to self-examine as well, as the country is this morning praying for Kenya.